It's alright.
Oh my god!
Yo guys, what is up? Mox here in our Borderlands 3 video, and today we have my first Mayhem 10 flak build. Now this flak build achieves two things extremely well. It never dies, it is extremely tanky, and it outputs a lot of DPS. It can do the Mallow on takedown, it can do Slaughter Shaft, it can do whatever you want on Mayhem 10, and I'm super happy with it. The build was inspired by someone in Twitch chat that said that they played a Deathless Flak, and I said, that's not possible. Turns out it's extremely strong. I've had a few people reach out to me and say that they play Deathless Flak, so I don't think it's anything like groundbreaking, but they gave me some tips, and here we are today with a very strong Mayhem 10 Deathless Flak build. Let's get right into the video. So, showing on screen for you guys right now is the skill tree for Deathless Flak, now, or 5G Flak. Now, there's a few things happening here, but I want to talk about the overall mechanics before we deep dive into the weapons and the skill tree. So, to start it off, we're using this new anointment while under 50% health, deal 150% bonus radiation damage. Now, because of this anointment, and the fact that we're going deathless, we will always have 150% bonus radiation damage, which is extremely strong. Now, to pair that, we're using Gamma Burst and a Red Fang. While Gamma Burst is active, Flak's pets taunt all enemies. Now, I hadn't used this class mod before trying this build, and my goodness gracious, is it awesome for Flak. Because of this taunt, our pet is always going to be drawing the aggro of all the enemies around us, and it allows us for us to actually never get shot. And if we do get shot, we have some tricks so that we don't die, which I'll be sharing in a second. But all the enemies will gather around Kumbaya style around our pet, and then we're going to use the Reflux, or the OPQ, or the Monarch, or the KOs, and there's a lot of different weapons. These new weapons are the best weapons, but the Reflux works extremely well with this. I've got a corrosive one with bonus rad, which is good against flesh, armor, shields, everything you need it to be. And with this weapon, they'll all gather around, they'll all get absolutely melted, it'll do a ton of crits, I'll get my Gamma Burst duration back instantly, and it works really well. Now, to stay alive, we have some cool tricks in our blue tree. First off, we have Shared Spirit. While Flak is at low health, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So 50% of all the damage that we take is going to be shared to our pet, so we're not going to be taking a lot of damage, which is really nice that we have this up all the time. Next up, we have Hive Mind. When Flak takes damage, a portion of all damage they take is shared to their pet instead. So we've got a ton of damage sharing. We've got a big shield. Now we're going to be sharing a lot of damage with our pet. We're using Who Rescue 2, so our pet actually never dies, which is really nice because our pet is taking all of this damage, and we're going to be healing our pet with all of the damage that we are doing. And this synergizes extremely well. And then we're using green tree and a little bit of red tree for the rest of our damage, as well as big damage skills such as Frenzy and Barbaric Yob. Overall, this build is awesome. It allows for us to spec a little bit differently because we don't care about our health regen. And because we don't care about our health regen, we could just go for straight damage skills. Now, we're going to talk about equipment, and then we'll go full deep dive into the skill tree. The best shield you could possibly be using is a Rad Old God. This is the best shield. Other good shields are the Front Loader. If you have a good Transformer, the Transformer is also really strong because of that immunity to shock damage, but the Old God is the best shield that you could be using. This is a God rolled Old God, so because of this, in none of the clips was I actually wearing this, but telling you right now, if you get a Rad Old God with radiation damage, elemental damage resistances, further rad damage resistance, and any sort of capacity is going to be godlike for this build. Our Relic, there's a few relics. Atom Bomb Deathless, Snowdrift Deathless, and Last Stand Deathless. Now, I didn't actually know this, but the Last Stand Deathless does work. It'll randomly give you damage immunity. However, you're never really going to be getting shot at, and when you do take damage, you're never going to be taking that much. Really, really tanky. So I do prefer the Atom Bomb Deathless, but Last Stand Deathless works really well, and so does Snowdrift. We'll talk about bossing in a second. And then the Red Fang class mod, really, really, really awesome. I believe that the God Roll would be points into cooldown, but we don't actually need cooldown because of the way that we're going to be using head count with this build. And then the grenade doesn't really matter. I got a Hunter Seeker. Now, let's talk about our skill tree. So, Persistent Hunter for gun damage, action skill duration. This is really, really nice because our Gamma Burst is going to be up forever. Ferocity for pet damage. Rescue 2 is going to give our pet, mainly we're going to this to give, converting our damage into our pet health. We're going to be doing millions of damage per shot, which allows us to keep up our pet no problem. Frenzy for tons of damage stacking. Now, you need 1 point into He Bites. My class mod goes into He Bites, so I don't have a point here. But if you don't have a class mod that goes into He Bites, you need He Bites because when your pet takes damage, it returns some of the damage, which stacks Frenzy. Hive Mind for that damage share. I don't need Psycho Head on a Stick because I don't really need my pet to have movement speed and damage. We're totally fine without that. Barbaric Yap for those big pet bonuses, which is really nice because we're going to be using Great Horde Skag for plus 30% gun damage. Shared Spirit and Pack Tactics. Now, Pack Tactics may look like wasted points because we don't need maximum health, but because we're using a Deathless, any of our maximum health is converted into shield. So this is also going to increase our shield capacity, which is really nice, and we're just going to get more damage, which is really, really, really awesome. Now, Red Tree, nothing groundbreaking here. I do want to talk about head count. Now, head count now works with Gamma Burst, so while you're doing crits in Gamma Burst, you're going to get your cooldown refunded. This Gamma Burst builds, I've played Gamma Burst builds in the past, and I didn't like them because as soon as my Gamma Burst went down, I was kind of screwed. I would basically just get killed. Now, because of the way head count works, we can now get our cooldown back by using weapons that crit a lot to get head count back. So as soon as a Gamma Burst goes down, we get it back instantly. Because the Reflux is one of our main weapons that we're using, and it's going to have all those chains and all those crits, because we're using Megavore, we get Gamma Burst back instantly, which allows us to never have Gamma Burst cooldown and allows us to basically be unkillable the entire time. Now, Big Game here is amazing. Hunter's Eye is now fixed and is also a great pickup. Most dangerous game. Galactic Shadow. I didn't go Grim Harvest here because we already have so much gun damage that plus 6% gun damage isn't really going to help me that much. I'd rather have the reload speed because we have no reload speeds, and faster reload speed equals more DPS. So we went with reload speed there. Megavore. Now for our Gamma Burst traits, we're going Empathetic Rage for more damage, and we're going Endurance. We don't need Burst Aid because we don't need health. So that allows us to go Endurance, which give us our pet damage increase, and also keep up our Gamma Burst, which is really, really nice. And yeah, guys, that's it for like the overall build structure. It works surprisingly well. It doesn't sound like it worked that well, but because our pet is unkillable and it's going to aggro everything, we can just murder everything without actually ever getting shot at. Because we're never getting shot at, we can spec full damage. We have ways to keep ourselves alive. In terms of shield regen, we have shield reboot. Whenever we kill an enemy, we're going to get shield regeneration, which is really, really strong. Shield recharge delay and rate. Now, a few tricks with this build. One of the biggest ones that you can use is to fake burst. Now, sometimes in these clips you'll see me looking up at the sky, and when I use my Gamma Burst at the sky, just like how Amara uses Fake Grass, you're going to proc your bonus ASE anointments, which is very, very strong because Gamma Burst sometimes falls off because you can't proc these bonus ASE anointments. But if you fake Gamma Burst into the air and then go into Gamma Burst, then you will have all of those anointments up and can do a crap ton of damage. Another cool trick to use is, let's see if I have one. If you have a weapon that has grant an extra charge of Wreck Attack. When you switch to this weapon, it'll proc your ASE skills. I have made a video on this, but this counts as proccing your action skill end effects. So if you are in Gamma Burst and you need a boost of damage, you can always switch to a weapon like this, and then right back, and you will have all of your increased damage, which is super nice. You honestly don't need that though because of the amount of damage. In none of the gameplay clips was I doing that because I had plenty of damage, but just letting you guys know. Now in terms of weapons, the Monarch is extremely strong, Reflex is extremely strong, OPQ, KOs, and all of the new weapons. The Yellow Cake is just flat out disgusting. Tried not to showcase it too much, but we've got a 150 bonus radiation damage Yellow Cake, which just blows up any single enemy. And that's about it for the build, guys. Oh, there was one last thing that I wanted to talk about. Very last thing. So this build is very, very strong, but for bossing, you don't need a Red Fang because you just want to do damage. There's not usually very many mobs. So for bossing, I'll switch to a Bounty Hunter, which is going to give my bosses treated as human, beasts, and robotics for my hunt skills, which is great. And then I don't really need... I'll either go Deathless for bossing, or I'll put on something like a Front Loader with the Pearl just to have the max amount of damage. We'll still be below 50% health with a Front Loader, and we can get the Pearl for more damage. So for if you want to do bossing with this build, you can still boss with your setup, but for the most boss DPS, I recommend going Bounty Hunter and something like a Pearl, and you can murder bosses. Guys, that is it for the build. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. If you guys liked the video, be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace!